Release your music to the world. Express your spirit's desire. Well, there's been a lot of YouTube videos out there saying something in different versions, something like, you have consumed enough, God wants you to create. And I do agree to that statement. And also, I love, how things, whenever you detect something, some spark within yourself, and you follow that, suddenly you'll find proof of that everywhere you look. And that happened to me. And I do follow a YouTuber. I don't like identities, but for the sake of this example, and his state line is something like created to create. And I think that's beautiful. And then my colleague at my corporate job said, I had this idea. I attended to a workshop that was called Created to Create. So the universe, or God, or whatever name we give to it, Isa, is conspiring in favor to us, to serve us. Yes, the thing is, we are all creator beings. It's rather a question if you are aware of it or not, if you are receptive to the energy flow from your spirit or not. And the thing is, you are a creator being, and God, or your inner higher self, or universe, or Isa, whatever name you give it, wants you to create, because as one element of your true essence is the expression, the desire to express your spirit's desire for a fuller extension and expression. And some people die with their music inside themselves. Don't let that be you. I am preparing my launch of my second album under the artist name Aimme, collaborating with my other artist named Aimme, which is more like a artistic liberation from any rules. But anyway, I actually were talking to a dear friend of mine, and when she had saw in social media that I were working on my next launch, and she said, we need to have a release party. And I was like, do we? And I got super excited because she was so super excited and so supportive. So in January or February 2026, we are going to have the release party here in my hometown, and we are going to invite family and friends, and that will give me the chance to instruct the participant to take photos and do recordings and provide that to me so that I will have content that I can pursue and show from different angles, because that's the beauty with perspectives. Depending on which perspective a person apply, and in this case, meaning the perspective of what angle they may or may not take footage of me, will be what be represented. So, and working on this album, B-Sides, is a tribute and a mirror to how so many people lock themselves behind the illusions of identity, behind the illusions that stops us from express and explore fully, because we are addicted to the so-called identity, and we are hiding behind that so-called identity. And that so-called identity doesn't matter, but it comes always with limitations. Whether it's your artistic exploration, maybe you think like, but I don't do rock music, or I don't do house. I'm more about the lyrics, or I'm not about the lyrics, I'm all about the beats. That is an identity. There's nothing wrong in wanting, there's nothing wrong in knowing what direction you want to go, as long as you remember that that is not what defines you, because you are infinite. You are an infinite creator being. So you don't need those type of identities. But if you start to view them as different directions to express yourself, as different directions to express your artistic versions, and when you start to view time, all the goals, as the scenery, as the stage for your creation, you allow yourself to liberate yourself from any false projection that you have to be in a certain way or create music in a certain way. So that is really what this album is about, besides, because through, the history, many huge groups, artists out there, sometimes the B-side songs were actually the one that the audience fall in love with, but also which I think is more a more wonderful depth to this metaphor, if you will, is that I read somewhere that sometimes when the record said that they were so focused on the next hit, and the B-side could sometimes work as the artist or the group's way to release their own music to the world, or the why, the song that they might believed in for whatever reason. And maybe the artist believed in that song because it meant something for them at a specific time at creating that song, and not necessarily for the end result or the outside validation. So that's why I think B-side is a mirror to not doing it for somebody else. When you create music from a place of alignment, and when I say that, I don't mean in this ego illusion that you claiming a specific expression to be like your lane, your identity, and calling that to be authentic. The only way to be authentic is to express what comes to you naturally in that specific moment. Besides, I want that to be that inspiration for you to remember, release your music to the world, express your spirit's desire, and don't ever let any A-line, A-side, or norm collective matrix dictate any rules for you, especially when it comes to your inner creation. Release that to the world without any addiction to a specific outcome. Dreaming of becoming a famous artist, there's nothing wrong to it, but remember the core value, the igniting spark in any creation you do. Even if you make something just for the fun of it, if you play around with different themes or different system strategies that you picked up on, do it for the fun of it and allow it to serve others, allow it to hit the right audience by marketing it, by making content around it, all of those things, but never, ever lose that inner connection with that inner spark, your inner why, your true alignment. And that sounds so serious. I'm talking about this with all the lenses and perspective of enjoyment and having fun. And sometimes we want to be serious. Sometimes we are creating something that we have currently experienced, that we maybe felt the need to reflect on and progress and process through the outlet of writing. And that's awesome. But B-sides is the metaphor and the reminder for you to release your music to the world, to celebrate all the previous version of yourself and to celebrate all the coming versions of yourself, because you are never, ever limited to any of them. That is just a version that you, for some reason, wanted to explore and express through at a specific moment. You created a stage for that, for your next album, for your next song. That is just a stage. Time is also just a stage. So if you, for instantly, for this year or year, are planning on making your first album and you don't know where to start, recognize time as just a stage. And if you decide on making your first, I don't know, pop, a very happy-go-lucky type of music album, don't think that it's your identity, that you have to stick for it. It's just a version of your infinite being wanting to explore, express, and have fun on a specific stage. And as I said, as B-sides is a tribute to all your previous version, I want to mention this here. The songs on this album is actually songs that I've created in the past. It's a tribute for me that I created those different arenas, those different stages, so that I could follow my inner alignment of creating music. And now I think it's time for me to release it to the world, to allow it to serve others in terms of making an impact, maybe move somebody, maybe for you to feel inspired or to resonate with my story. And that is something that you can do as well. So remember this, and this is a slogan from my first album: dare to be odd, dare to be you, because there's just different versions of you and they are endless because your true essence is endless. So no matter version you are currently operating through, it's just a version. It's just an odd version of you. And remember, being odd is only odd in the world, in the perspective of identity. When in the world where people are clinging on to the perspective of identity, liberation of any identity, it's only odd through that perspective.